Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well. Thank you so much for joining in. I am Aditya Obrai, one of the new MLH coaches. I joined MLH very recently back in November. So, yeah, it's great to be here, great to be with all of you. Um, let's just wait a minute or so as we have folks joining in. Until then, I'd be really grateful if you all could just introduce yourselves once in the chat. Hey, awesome. We have folks joining in. That's great to see. Hey everyone. So I do see some common names from our No Light session. It's lovely to see all of you come back. It's also great to see some new names. Always a pleasure to be here with all of you. Give a quick woohoo in the chat if you're all excited for this session. Yes, I love the hype in this chat. You're all really awesome. It's always great to meet all of you. Um, so yeah, today we are there at the last one of the last sessions of day one. It's great to be here to have gone through this entire day with all of these wonderful sessions. It's been a ton of fun, and so one thing, yeah, thanks a lot. I think there was someone who mentioned that they want to complete all of the sessions. It's great you're trying to do that, but just don't over pressurize yourself. It's all right. Just do as much as you can. Otherwise, in this session, we're going to have a bit of fun. We're going to try a new language. So there's one thing for this session. Um, it's all right. You can try out Hello World in any language that you've been interested in. But at the same time, I have created a resource with one particular technology that I've really wanted to introduce to folks here. It's definitely one that I have been working with for quite a bit of time now. I've been working with this particular language and technology for over a year. And I started developing mod this year. I'd actually tried it out some time back, but it's definitely one that I love. And it is neither JavaScript nor Python. So we're going to begin with the session now. Um, it'd be really great. I'm just going to share a link in the chat. I'd really love if you could just open this language here in your browsers. I mean, this particular website here. I'll just put this up as a banner as well. But this website link is in the chat, and it would be really great if you could just open this right now. And there are some folks who are trying to guess which language we're going to be working with. I'm going to get to that. I'm definitely going to do that. But first thing, what we're going to do is that after this, it's important to make sure that you've checked into the session. So if you open this link, just click on check in here and you will find the organizer HQ website open. Just make sure that you check in here. All right. So once that is done, you are good to go. You will see a little message here that says you have successfully registered and you are good to go for this session. So the language that we will talk about today is C sharp. I think someone did guess that. I am very happy whoever was able to guess that. Yeah, I'm a big C sharp fan personally. All right, I think some folks missed the link. I will just send that here as well. It is up on the as a banner too, but you can check it out here. It should be available in the chat now. So yeah, we're going to be trying out a bit of C Sharp. We'll do our first little code in .NET. So we'll make a console application. And for that, I have all the resources here in this website. So we'll definitely check it out. There's a person who definitely knows me very well. Yeah, thank you so much for that. I do absolutely love C Sharp. I think it's a fantastic language. I feel .NET is such an amazing technology that a lot of us haven't worked as much with, but it's so powerful. And I just want to get everyone a little glimpse of that today. So for those, I mean, I'm sure there are going to be some in the chat here who may just have started with the world of programming, who haven't had much experience. So for all of those folks. Hello World is probably the most famous program in the world. Hello World is something that all program developers, used to begin with any language. If you start with any language, Hello World is just a tradition that we have, and all it does is that it prints the words "Hello World." Yes, I see it. I guess this is a very good question. I'll just tackle this first. It is a new language in the sense it could be someone that folks haven't tried out, and I believe that, even in my experience with hackathons, with development work, with communities otherwise, I haven't seen as much usage of C Sharp. So it is definitely something that I personally wanted to introduce to folks here. And with this particular session, I do hope that some of you will get a little flavor of what you can do. Although with Hello World, there's really a little bit that you can get, but I do hope that you will look more into C Sharp after this session and try it out. And yeah, it's totally all right. You do not need any experience for this. Okay, is that not working? I will check that once as well. Um, Thank you so much for mentioning if the button is not working. I will check that out. So for those who are new to the world of programming, yes, just back to that. Hello World is just a tradition. Basically, it allows anyone to print. It essentially prints the two words Hello World onto the display. And this essentially, once if you're able to do this is these two words on the screens, if it's printing, it means that the code can compile, load, run, and you can see the output. And yes, for this particular tutorial, even though I have made a tutorial in C Sharp, it is, I mean, if you want to try out something in another language, so like there is one person here, if you want to try it out in Haskell, please by all means. If you have any tutorial for Haskell, we would love to see that as well. I think that'd be fantastic. So if that is the issue, what I will do is, I think some folks are not able to get the button running. I will just share the link with you all after that if it really isn't working. So, just as we get to that, let me just talk a bit about .NET first. .NET is a free cross-platform open source developer platform that is that with you can actually build various different types of applications. So with .NET, you can use multiple languages, editors, libraries, and you can build web applications, mobile applications, desktop apps, games, IoT work. You can work with machine learning, AI, cloud native applications. That's a lot you can do with .NET, to be honest. And there are various reasons to work with .NET. .NET features modern language constructs like generics, with like generics, language integrated queries, asynchronous programming to help improve developer productivity. It allows you to develop applications for different platforms like Android, iOS, Windows, and Linux. You can actually build cross-platform apps with a .NET framework called Xamarin, which is my personal favorite. .NET applications provide better response times and require less compute power in the sense it is 8 times faster than Node.js. In fact, Stack Overflow, which uses .NET, is actually able to cater to 5.3 million users on a daily basis with just 9 servers. So that's the sort of performance impact that .NET does bring. It has immediate security benefits via its managed runtime, and it is open source and available on GitHub as well. So yeah, okay, I do see there seems to be a slight issue with the link. I'm very sorry, that's a slight error there. Yeah, what I'll do is what I've done is I have just added, I'll just share the link here in the chat so you can download the .NET framework. This should be comfortable with you. Otherwise, I will just make a slide update just after the session as well. But for now, I have shared the link in the chat so you can check it out. And lovely question. So it's not that .NET isn't famous. It is actually used by a huge number of organizations across the world. Um, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to check how whether .NET is installed or not. But yes, .NET is actually used all over the world. In fact, if you look at any website and you see the extension at the end that says ASPX, that is essentially built using ASP.NET, which is again a .NET framework. And that it is actually a very, very commonly used technology in enterprise work. But .NET is something that I haven't seen as much in student bases. because of course, considering folks who are learning web developers, a lot of people tend to move towards JavaScript, and those who are interested in ML and AI tend to move towards Python. But there is so much of web development work that is happening with .NET using ASP.NET, especially a lot of enterprise work. In fact, I'll give you one little insight. Um, it is, with .NET, you can actually, I'm sorry. So if you look at Azure, if any of you use Azure, most of Azure's services, the backend there is actually, running on .NET. So chances are that if you've been using the internet, you have touched .NET at least once in your life. Now, as soon as you come to this page, please download the .NET SDK. Um, if you're using Linux or if you're using macOS, I'll just recommend go for the .NET SDK here. Do not go for .NET Core or .NET Framework right now, because with .NET 5.0's launch, they have actually tried to consolidate all of these into one single SDK. They're trying to bring all the different services together. And .NET Framework is something that was dedicatedly used for building Windows applications. .NET Core is cross-platform and used for a variety of different services, but they're all being consolidated, and that is being done. So with .NET 5.0, you do not need to have .NET Core and .NET Framework separately. So just make sure that you go ahead, you download the .NET SDK, and .NET SDK, the .NET SDK 5, if you've got that downloaded, what you do is you can just go to whatever terminal you have, and after, once that is done, once you have your terminal up, you can just type in .NET after it's installed. Okay, so it's cool that folks are downloading. Let me just take my screen off. So I'll just bring that back up. And just saying, it's not dead. I won't even say dead. It's one of the most commonly used technologies for enterprise work in the world right now. It is not at all deprecated. It is massively being used because so far, currently in the world right now, .NET has a significantly better performance as compared to JavaScript libraries. In fact, if you look at a majority chunk of our enterprise work, you will find a lot of .NET or Java work. In fact, a lot more than Python and JS. You have to download just the SDK, just the .NET 5 SDK. That is the one you have to download. So once that is done, you're good to go. Let me just stop sharing my screen and bring me back. I just want to, yeah. I hope my terminal is visible to you right now. So, once you're installed, what you have to do is you just have to type in and click .NET. And if it's installed properly, you will see this sort of a response on your screen. And I believe these instructions, if you have a website open with you, you will find it there as well. Yes, you have to download .NET SDK 5.0. In fact, you can check what runtime you have. So if you just type .NET dash version, you will see the version that's running, which is 5.0.101. That is the latest .NET version. So once you have this, you're good to go. And as soon as you're done with that, what you can do is that, once I hope everyone's downloaded. If everyone is done with installing .NET, it would be great if you could just give me a response in the chat right now. .NET done 5.1. Yeah. All right. So for someone who doesn't know how to use the terminal, what you just do is if you're on Windows, you can just type CMD in the search bar and you will get the command prompt. And if you're on Linux or Mac, for example, you'll have the terminal there. This is my Git bash terminal. It's just something I'm used to, but you can do the same job with command prompt as well. And yeah, you can work with other languages. That is totally all right. But if you'd like to follow along for this particular session with C# and .NET, I think that'd be lovely. I think that's definitely what I would love. And that is actually not necessarily the case. The .NET ecosystem is actually massive with the amount of open source work as well as already existing packages available for it already. And this is actually a misconception because there are so many services actually available for .NET, which you may not necessarily have in newer technologies. Plus, at the same time, with .NET, performance is a huge factor. I mean, if you check, even in the website that I've shared, it is actually 8 times faster than Node.js. At the same time, Node.js is definitely still evolving as a framework, as a technology. So are Python-based frameworks that still have some way to go, but .NET has had that much of work happening on it already. So it is actually quite an advanced technology in its own place. How C Sharp and .NET related? So .NET is an entire ecosystem, and within that, so the programming language, there are three programming languages that you can use within the .NET ecosystem: C Sharp, F Sharp, and Visual Basic. And what happens is that with C Sharp, it's just a syntax that I am personally more comfortable with. It is very similar to Java, and it's just a lot more commonly used, to be honest. But yeah, C Sharp is one of the three languages you would use with .NET. Why is Git Bash better than CMD? I won't say it's bad or worse. This is just my preference that I'm used to it, but you can use either. So .NET is an entire platform in itself. It's not just a runtime. There is a lot more to it. Now, yeah, I believe there was another query. Can we say it with Golang? If you want to do Hello World with Golang, please, by all means. If you're following a tutorial, do share with us as well. You can definitely do that. And yeah, Git Bash rocks, yay. So I hope everyone is done installing this by now. Now, what you will do is that once you've got your .NET installed, let me just, I hope I am doing, sorry. I'm just bad with these commands at times. Yeah, I was just want to clear my bash screen. Sorry about that. And once you're done with that, now I would like you to put in the following command as I'm typing. So you just type in .NET new console -o and my app. So what this command essentially does is that .NET new console will create a new console application for you. And -o essentially creates a new directory where it will be saved. So this entire command is where you put, if you enter this command, it will create a new console application for you. And if your application runs, if it's created successfully, you should see this sort of a message right now. So right now the folder has been created, the directory has been created on my desktop. And once that is done, you can just, if I check ls, okay, cd my app. So you can see a directory has been created here. Now, let me do one thing. I'll just close my terminal and open this folder in VS Code. I think that should be cool. Yeah. So I hope my VS Code is visible. So, as I've opened my folder, you should see that my command has created this sort of a program for me, which is a basic Hello World program, right? I hope that's visible to everyone. So if I run this program, if you see this and I run this program, what it'll essentially do for me is, in order to run this, I just type in .NET run. And it just takes a few seconds. And yeah, it shows Hello World. What is that theme? All right, so this year at .NET Conf, they created a new .NET centered theme for VS Code. And if you want, you can just message it to me. You can just message me on the Discord. I can share the link for this theme afterwards. I'll have to look for it one. Yes, you can use another language. That is totally all right. That is, what did I write in the terminal? So if you so the original command, if you check out the website I'd shared earlier, and that was this website. If you go there, you can find the instructions for the code, the line of code. Why does it take so long? um, it seems a lot longer right now, but when we're talking about enterprise applications, trust me, .NET is significantly faster than Node.js. And yeah, thank you so much for that. .NET new console -o my app. That is the line where I had written in there. And after that, once I'd created that, if you enter the directory, after that, if you press .NET Run, it will run the program it had created from the original template that comes. Hyperterminal, I haven't worked as such with it, but it's definitely, I'll definitely check it out after the session. Yes, you can use another language. So yeah, for this particular session, you essentially do write hello world. But of course, along with that, if you've gotten till this step, if you've gotten it to run, I would love for you to just, experiment a bit more. So suppose I want to change world here and I want to write MLH local local hack day build console dot write line. Y'all are the best. Because you seriously are, for coming on this stream. You're all seriously the best. So yeah, if along with that, if you wanna maybe make a few edits and maybe just add the names of a few of your friends, you can just create a little variable using the var keyword, where name is equal, or just introduce yourself. That's all cool. You can do all of these things and play around with the code. I can show a few things right now, just creating a variable and printing with this variable, just showing how you can write a little bit of code with C# here. It's definitely going to be good. And after this, once you're done playing around, I'm also going to do a little demo on just taking you and maybe just pushing it to GitHub and then showing you how to submit this on DevPost as well. Until then, let me just check the chat once. So no, for this session, we won't be submitting the screenshot. We'll be submitting, we'll be pushing this to a GitHub repo and then submitting on DevPost. My console, it hadn't frozen earlier. It's just, it takes a few seconds. How did I open VS Code? I had just, I just right click on the folder and open with code. That's what I'd done. But yeah, if you want to run it, once you've got the code ready, all you need to enter is .NET Run. So, yeah, let me just, 1 second. So, once I've got all of this going for me, yeah, .NET Run. It'll take a few seconds, but we'll get there. Yeah. So there we have it. It prints for us using the .NET Run command in the terminal. And I think if you would have noticed, it was a little faster this time. It's just that at that point, it was running for the first time. We hadn't used the compiler in the past, but yeah, it is a lot like Java. Thank you so much for pointing that out. A reason for that is that Java and C# came out around the same time. Java is slightly older, but from the very beginning, they were very, very very similar. So, because of that reason, over the years, there are a lot of comparisons have been made over the syntaxes of the two languages. But definitely, at least at the back end, C# is actually a lot closer to C++ than Java. And, so that's definitely something to check out. But thank you for pointing that out. All right, so if you want to check out the activity from the start, I have just put up the link here. You can follow the tutorial here. And, it's got all the instructions to follow through with what I've done so far. I like that comment. It's not Microsoft's Java, but yeah, it's definitely very similar. So you can, if you want to follow along, you can just go with this site. And yeah, we are right now making a console app using C#, but you can also make so much more with that. You can actually develop websites and you can use front end using C# instead of JavaScript as well. Through Blazor, you can create enterprise grade applications using ASP.NET. You can create cross-platform mobile apps using Xamarin, and Xamarin is actually the technology I use most often. So there is so much that you can do with C# and with .NET. You can use WSL. All right, if you're getting a build error, this is something I'll just look into that along with you. There might be some error maybe within a command, or if there's something, maybe an issue in the installation. So yeah, that is something that, we can discuss just after as well. If you have an installation error, that's something we can discuss, and I can share the necessary resources for that too, after we're done with this activity. Now, if you've gotten till this point and you've made a little Hello World application and you've tried it out, what you do next is just publish it to GitHub to a new repository. And I had my GitHub logged in, but if you would like, I can actually, all right, I'll tell you what, instead of um, going through just the C# flow, I'll instead just go to GitHub. Let me share my screen once again. I'll just go to GitHub here and create a new repository and do it using Bash. So if you can just go here, create a new repository. Let's just name it LHD build C# hello world. And once that's done, you can just create a description. Hello world activity at LHD build 2021. Create the repository for this. So because since for this activity we're going to be going to dev post and submitting, it would be good if we could use just use this sort of a thing where, okay, I didn't have to make the readme, sorry about that. It's gonna show an error now, but never mind, we're just gonna, sorry about that. Slight errors, sorry folks. Yeah, initialize repository. So I mean, all of these functions that I wanted to do with git bash can be done here as well. And just in the similar manner, if I go to my application directory and I open bash here, let me just increase the size once. So yeah, even if I go here and I just go to git status, you'll see that all my files here, they're staged. And this is because I had done them here in VS Code. So if I just unstage them once and I check the status again, they're all gonna be untracked. So what we can do is that, we just add them here. After we have to add a commit message, as we're creating this for the first time. And you can just say created console app or any other meaningful commit message that you'd like to use. And at the same time, okay, 1 second. But I see some people are having errors. So if you use if you're getting a build error in VS Code, but not the terminal, you're essentially building it using the terminal. So that's what you have to do. And yeah, that's okay if you have a 4-line code. That's totally all right. You can create a new file. That's not something we're against. 1 second. Sorry, folks, a little bit of troubleshooting. New repository. So yeah, let me just reshare my shell once again. And as soon as that's done, what I just do is that I add these commands. And what this will do is that it'll add the remote and just push the code that I had to the GitHub the GitHub repo that I had created. So now if we visit my GitHub repo here, application window. Yeah, so you see that my code is available there. So, once you've created a little GitHub repo, now the next thing that we have to do here is just visit the dev post link so that we can submit this application here. So in order to do that, what we'll just do is, since we went through these steps where we created the little application and run it after this, you can just submit your app on dev post by going here. This here will take you to the dev post link. This is available on the 4th page of the website. And you can go here, you can start your submission. So, in order to do that, you create a new project. I will call it Hello World in C# LHT build day one. You are free to name it whatever you want. I have just chosen this name so that, just in order to demonstrate it. And because this is for local hack day, it's all right. You can create just a simple little description. You can just add here that you built it using C#. I hope it has C#, and you can add .NET. And along with that, if you want to just add, it's all right if you don't make a heavy about for this. You can just mention what it does. It prints hello world, or any other description you would like to, as long as it makes sense. How I built it, I used VS Code and the .NET 5 SDK. And apart from that, it's all right if you don't have too much content up here just for this particular activity. Once you're done with that, make sure that you add the GitHub repo link and you save it. And just along with that, if you're completing a submission, you'll see that you have hello world in a new language. So once that is done, you just go complete your submission, and you have successfully submitted your project to local hack day build day one. So that was the basic structure of the activity. Now, great question. In case you have code in the online compiler, and you've what you do is you just take that code, copy it, and just create a .cs file where you've got the code, and you can just push that to a GitHub repo as well. Also, for this activity, so one thing that I had done is that that was the website where my code was essentially, the website was essentially kept. Now, I know for a fact that there are various folks who would have tried out different Hello World tutorials. There are some who've tried it out with Julia or Golang or Haskell or any other website. And I want to make sure that, we also showcase that as well and appreciate that as well. So there is an activity here. There's a challenge that, calls for making pull requests in local hack day. And I want to give you a chance to get that done as well. So if you have created a Hello World activity with any other language, or even with this language, but a different tutorial, please go over to this repository, fork it, and add the details in the tutorial in the format of the other submission there that I had created. And if you put that in, I will take that pull request and I will accept that and I will have that up. So, you can complete another challenge as well. So what is the use of namespace? All right, let me just check the queries here and I will get to the end as well. That's awesome. Big cheers to you for that. Yes, you absolutely can. And if you host it somewhere, I will definitely do that. I will merge the PRs as well in a bit after the session. So if you're talking about the steps, if you want to contribute in your tutorial there, you can just fork this repository in the README. Just go down to the table and add a new tutorial based on the format that in which the first one has been placed. And then accordingly, once you're done with that, you just create a pull request for this particular submission, and I will take that. I will accept that. Also, if you have submitted and this particular challenge in any other language, that is totally all right, not a problem. I think that is great. And big kudos to you for doing that, for taking that initiative. If you're looking for this particular repository's link, in the website I shared earlier, it is visible at the last page, so you can just find it there. If you want to create the pull request, at least for this repository, just the README is what I'm asking. So yeah, if you want to just add a tutorial, just the README, that'll be great. The repo link, all right, I can share the repository link here as well. All right, I guess there's a question here if you've got a PR merge during Hacktoberfest. We do want you to create, please make new PRs. Do not use older PRs that you've created, as we're trying to encourage more and more development and activity during the local hack day. So that will not be eligible. Please make sure this is something new that you're working on. This is just a bonus that was added to the Hello World activity. But yeah, if you're done with the Hello World activity, if you just want to focus on that, that's great as well. Big cheers to that. Now, I believe some folks were getting errors there in the terminal of the VS Code. I don't believe that should necessarily, that shouldn't have been an issue, but are you sure you're not adding the command to to the debug console or somewhere else? Because it essentially use, or if just check and see if you've selected the CMD as your shell or bash, and because if it isn't either of those, if it is the JavaScript debug, I guess that could be an issue. So you can do that. Where can I find the challenges? You can find the challenges on the local hack day build website. Oh yeah, great point. Thank you so much for that. When you're adding .NET Run, don't press the play button. You have to click enter so that it runs the shell. The play button is for VS Code, and that's not what you're supposed to do. That's not what you're running. PowerShell should be good, but yeah, just make sure you don't click on the run button in VS Code and enter in the shell. All right, no. So for the Hello World project particularly, that is, if you've created, that's something you have to post to your own repository. This is just an added bonus on this particular activity. So for your Hello World project, you will create a repository on your own account, push the code there, and that you have to submit in DevPost. Unfortunately, no, for this activity, the screenshot is not acceptable. But if you have the code in an online compiler, what you can do is just copy the code, save it in a .cs file, and you just push that individual file to your GitHub repository. For anyone who missed the activity, I can just share my website link once again, and you can run the activity from there. You can push, even if you push the whole app, that totally works. If you've created an online compiler and you have just the .cs file, either are okay. You can push either of them. The deadline for this will be by 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So just make sure you submit it accordingly. So we just discussed this activity. If you missed it by any chance, you can go to the link I've shared below and go through the process. And there was a slight issue with the .NET link. So I will be updating the .NET link there just as soon as the activity is done. Until then, if you need to install the .NET SDK, you can just go in here. Also, the check-in link for anyone who's just joined in, the check-in link is is there on the website's index page, so you can check it from there. Awesome, but kudos to you for adding a TypeScript tutorial. I will definitely check it out. The dev post link, again, if you go to my website, I'll just share that separately as well in the chat. Just a second. So for the dev post, you will essentially go to, I've sent the link in the chat there, it should be coming in. The dev post link is here, and so you can check it out and just, go to it and work at it accordingly. The daily challenges are visible at the local hack day build website. So if you go to local hackday mlh.io/build, you will be able to find it there. I will merge the PRs. I will check the PRs out immediately after this session and merge them. So that shouldn't be a problem. Also, in case anyone is getting stuck with the .NET compiler, or if they're stuck in the installation, you can just message me on the Discord and I will look at that. I will try that out and help you accordingly. If you want to add a tutorial, you can just do that directly in the README. That should be good enough. So yeah, here's the entire tutorial. If you've just started, you can go through the process here. It is the whole activities minimum process has been shown here. After that, if you want to enjoy the activity, you can do so as well. If you've created a repository, okay. I think if someone is still getting stuck in the dev post submission, once you go to the link, you can just join the hackathon and click on create a submission, and after that, just start a submission for your code. As far as how many challenges you should complete or guild points, there will be a leaderboard update in a short while, so you can check that out. Yeah, for the dev post, you just have to add the GitHub repo link there. For anyone who's still interested in the PR activity, if someone wants to do that for this particular Hello World activity, you can just, the repo link at the last page of the website here. You can just visit this repo here and then add it to the README there. This is a really lovely question. I'm so happy this has just come up. All right. So Xamarin is a cross-platform framework for .NET that allows you to build applications for Android, iOS, Windows, and in fact, other platforms like Xamarin has had support for Mac OS as well. It has had support for Android Wear OS. And Xamarin is one of my personal favorite technologies. I have built some apps in Xamarin and I am a big fan. So yeah, here's a little love from the Xamarin monkey. The link of the website, I'll just put that up again. This is the link of the website. You can check out the website from here. And you're awesome if you tried it with Scala. That's great. Love to see that. Big kudos to you for that. Also, whoever is done with the activity who've created the submission, just mention in the chat as well. I think that'll be awesome. You did your submission last night using F Sharp. That's great. That's really cool. I'm really happy about that. If you've tried out F sharp, that's really really cool. Someone else, Paris, has done it with Golang. Awesome. Kudos to you. If you're done with the activity, you finish the challenge you've submitted on DevPost. You're awesome for that. You've done Hello World with Python. Awesome. Checked out Groovy. Ooh. I'm loving how folks are experimenting here. Yuvraj has tried out with Kotlin and .NET. Someone's tried out with LOL Code. Yes. Um, yeah, LOL Code is an esoteric language that these are designed to push the limits of how you can program. And that's great if someone's trying out something like LOL Code or emoji code. I was actually trying out something like that on my system, but had some trouble earlier. But it's great if you've tried that. Um, it's great someone's tried it out with C. This is all awesome. You're all awesome. Are so many languages that you're all folks are trying out, and I'm really happy because the whole idea here is to experiment with these technologies. Because to be honest, it's really we often have these discussions on which language is better or worse. But the fact is that they all have their best uses, and it's great to have that little experience with all of them. Golang, Haskell, Julia, Clojure. That's a list. I'm really liking how folks are trying out these different languages. It's simply lovely. You're all awesome for that. And if someone's trying out .NET for the first time, it's amazing. I hope you try it out and work a lot more with it. That's just a little personal bias, but .NET is one of my favorite technologies, and I think it's really underrated, to be honest. So yeah, I hope this activity was fun for you. If you're not able to open the dev post, the link should be open. Just maybe try reloading your browser or checking your internet connection if that's an issue. And yeah, a lot of people here, that's a good point. Paras has mentioned that a lot of folks start with C and C++. I had tried out Java, but you can do this with any language. If you want to do it with Python, yes, you absolutely can. Yes, so for a dev post submission, you will need to add the code to a GitHub repo and then add the repo link in your dev post submission. It's great, if someone's trying out. All right, so if you've added it to the master branch, that might be that you have maybe an older version of Git. So when you're creating your branch, you can just create it as main, and renaming a branch does have its steps, so you can get that done afterwards. All right, if you're getting any error with with .NET particularly, you can share that with me on Discord. You can DM me. I'll look at those DMs as well. And if you're not able to view your challenges, those should be available on the local Hackday website. They're all there. So I'm not sure as to why that issue might be coming. You have to submit this on the day one dev post. The day one dev post is the one where you have to submit. And that is the one that I have linked here on the website as well. So you can just go over and do that. Do we need to trust the .NET certificate? Yes, you can totally. That's totally all right. Actually, so that's why I would recommend, if you're having an issue like this, I would just recommend creating a new repository, just pushing the code there. And afterwards, we can work on resolving maybe that issue. For the build with the starter pack activity, it should be the recording should be available on the MLH YouTube. You can go and view it there. So for any of the Indian hackers here, anyone who knows the Hindi language, this is a great suggestion. You should definitely check it out. For day one, at least, I believe this was the last challenge. And now if you want to complete any of the former ones or just work on this one, you can get those done. So yes, I believe I am done for the session right now. Thank you so much to everyone who attended. In case anyone wasn't able to go through the activity, I will just share the link here in the chat one last time. And you can just go to it, try it out, and definitely, just work at it. You do not have to submit this in the type form. This will go to the dev post. And I believe right now, it's instead of type form, it's just form submissions. That has been changed as per one of the more recent updates. So the link should be updated there in the Discord. You can check it out there. Until then, I will just put out the link as well. LHD-build-hello world. Yeah. Yeah, you can just push the code to a new repo and upload the link there, and then in your dev post submission, you should add it there. How dev post is linked with MLH? All right, so the submissions on the dev post will be checked at the end of the day, and accordingly the points will be tallied. Yes, thank you so much for that, Nidhi. The link, the type form has been changed, and instead there's Google Forms. As far as viewing points go, the top 30 of both the guilds and hackers should be visible on the site, and there will be an update very soon. So there will be a separate, as per the schedule, there is a session on that, and you'll be able to check out the updated top 30 as soon as that comes. One more no light round. I think a lot of folks had a lot of fun at no light. Um, there's gonna be more no light sessions in the subsequent days. There's gonna be an activity no light in the kitchen if you check out the schedule. And no, this will not be an issue. It is totally all right. How is your DevPost account linked with the MLH account? So since with your My MLH account and your DevPost, common email IDs are the factor that is kept there. So that's how the submissions are compared. If your email IDs on both of them are different, I will recommend that just keep a common ID on one of those. Maybe make an edit to either your my.mlh or your dev post. So yeah, do we have where can you view your points? So the top 30 points will be displayed on dev post and they'll be updated in a few hours. And apart from that, I believe Ryan had shared a sheet with the points as well last night, but they're gonna retally and update after day one end. So as far as DevPost goes, if you need to resubmit, um, resubmit in what sense? If you need to make an update to your DevPost submission, you can edit your DevPost submission. So yeah, we are at the end of our session. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. And if you have any queries, any further discussions regarding this, please feel free to reach out on Discord. If you feel you need to go back through the session will be available on YouTube and Facebook. If your submission, if you've sent in your submission, you'll get a notification on your dev post. So that'll be totally all right. And if you're not able to, maybe, if just try reloading the website because it should be accessible to everyone right now. And yeah, sorry about that. For this one, there wasn't a special check-in code. Very sorry about that. The guild chat should be visible in Discord. If it's not visible to you, just make sure that you're checked in. There should be a reaction in the check-in channel. On the dev post, the guild name is not as much of an issue. If you filled out the form originally, you should be good to go. Awesome. If you've got it to run finally, that's fantastic. So yeah, that's about it from me. Thank you so much to everyone who joined in. And let's keep the discussion and the hype going on Discord, and let's just, let's go and enjoy the rest of Local Hack Day. Thank you so much, everyone, and hope you have a great day, a great evening. Bye-bye.